Our brains love to put things into categories. It keeps all the information we process. All of that is organized and become easy to understand. But sometimes we end up putting our kind into categories. Our kind, I mean people. We make decisions about their identity, often before we even know who they are. And it can be said that we are doing stereotyping. So this video is going to talk about stereotypes.
No. That's too much. So this video is going to talk about stereotype.
That's wonderful. Okay, this video is going to talk about stereotypes, especially in men.
Before that, we wanna introduce ourselves. My name is Difan, and this is
Hi, my name is Hibatur. Nice to meet you. So what is stereotype?
stereotypes can be defined as fixed, oversimplified, and often biased beliefs about a group of people, things, and activities with unbalanced characteristics. According to Alport, in his book entitled The Nature of Prejudice, stereotypes are generalizations about a group's personal attributes or characteristics. Okay, before we narrow it down to stereotypes toward men, we go to this first. Gender stereotyping is the practice of ascribing attributes, characteristic, or role to women or men. And gender is determined by social perception, norms, parenting style, and the media. Here are some examples of gender stereotypes that started when we were still kids. How come boys like to play with dolls, or women play with toy cars? Or have you ever said or heard that sentence before? Okay, let's back to the past, where we can meet one of our heroes for women's rights. She is Kartini and was born on 21st April. Well, we probably can call it that way because at that time men and women are very less of equality. So here is her perspective.
We took from her letter, habis gelap terbitlah terang. She said, kami tidak berperang melawan laki-laki, tetapi melawan opini lama yang bertahan. Adat yang tidak lagi baik untuk Jawa kita di masa depan. Implying that she is not calm against men, but against old opinions that persist, that is no longer good for their place in the future. So she was fighting the patriarchal situation that occurred rather than the man himself. During the Kartini era, men at the time had physical more demanding jobs than women. For example, at the time, they worked in construction, agriculture, and other fields.
Wow, okay, I want to come back to our time.
Men still predominate in occupations that require physical strength and large role in leadership, both in the family and politics.
Alright, we are already far from this. I actually have a story about what if there is someone who cannot fill the expectation. So his name is Eddie and his mom is very love him. He is growing up with two sisters. He had smaller body than his friend had. Besides smaller body, he was also had smaller voice than the other boys. And because of that, people were underestimate him and his friends often bullied him. He liked to cry a lot. He was very emotional. And that made people don't like him. He couldn't play football like other boys, and that also made people and his friends judge him. He actually liked to play everything. Besides of, he is a boy. Smaller body, smaller voice, cannot playing football, make the society, friends, even his relative, I don't know, judge him. And it made him feel coward, made him feel inferior about his physical appearance, and he was afraid and made an assumption that people will judge him. And it came with overthinking and depressed because of the society demands. The society wanted him to act strong and tough. When he was in high school, all of his friends could drive a motorcycle, but he couldn't drive a motorcycle until now, and that made the society do not like him again. And the more he grew up, the more expectation, and he tried to figure it out why. People like judge him, underestimate him, and his friend always bullied him almost every day, and that made him overwhelming. And he tried everything like louder his voice and act strong and tough and learning about himself and try to make a friend. Because what he has faced it, he become more wise, but still he is still emotional. And finally, he has many friends that accept him, and he learned that even though he faced many bad things in his life, he still have good thing in his life.
Oh no, from the story, that must be hard. So, we can see that there are many expectations that kept toward the character, including not being allowed to cry, has to be a strong person, louder voice, has to be able to drive, playing football, and active in social. And society gave so much pressure. If you could not fill the expectation, so they will judge, and they will bully, and society will underestimate.
In the end, it will make you sad and overthinking, and you will run into depression. You will probably run into depression. You will feel inferior because society sees you as not what they want. And we have to do something. We have to learn about ourselves and learn how to accept ourselves. Talk to someone about your feeling. Maybe go to psychiatrist or therapist. Try to speak to them. Try to tell your story. And what if we know someone that has the experience?
To avoid stereotyping, do not expect or judge people. They are just like us, and everyone has their differences. Help if we know someone who has the experience, listen to them. As technology has become more advanced, such as so many platform media, so we can use it to make a campaign about trying not to make up putting people into categories. And what is important is to accept the differences that our friends have, that all people have. So, that's an example of a man being pressed by the stereotype that society makes. But what about the family?
Does that give pressure? Okay, what do you think?